maybe haven't been able to make it. So we'll record this little session for those guys we're recording now. Panelists and everybody else, mind the P's and Q's. Speaking towards myself there, being the person that I am. So listen, thank you very, very much for everybody for joining. The session is From Chaos to Clarity, using Sage, the app stack, to overcome economic instability. We have some great panelists together. Today we're going to chat about a bit more how we can enable you through using technology to manage the current economic climate with lots of weird and wonderful things happening. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Dan, or my good friend, should I say. We can become colleagues, but my good friend, Dan.
Thank you, Kenny. And welcome and thank you everyone for joining. Now, this session should take no more than 45 minutes, and there will be a time for a bit of Q&A at the end. So we really do hope you find today's session helpful. Now, the spring budget has impacted businesses in several ways, including capital gains tax, business rates, and national insurance contribution changes. And at the same time, the US imposed an array of tariffs on imports, which left many wondering how exposed their supply chain and their customer base is. Now, with the frequency of delays applied and the increases also, it's been very difficult to forecast scenarios, currency fluctuations, and the impact on your business. Now, what's at the front of people's minds right now? The finance function is under pressure, we know that for sure. And managing compliance and the effects on profitability is key. Any shifts in corporation tax, VAT, and other business-related taxes can affect profitability and cash flow. And finance teams should assess the potential financial impact and ensure compliance. National insurance contributions and any adjustments can directly impact payroll and employee costs. And it's essential to understand how these changes affect both the company and its employees. Supply chain pressure and costs, with the inflationary pressure adjusted as well. Labour markets are changing and there's lots of abundant pressures on those organisations, and finance teams need to be able to reassess cost management strategies on a more frequent basis. And lastly, tax compliance. The new rules, the adjustments to existing regulations need to be closely monitored to ensure compliance. And this includes new reporting requirements, digital tax compliance measures, and anti-avoidance policies. And what we've done today is pull together the ideal Sage app stack to help you do that. And that includes Avalara, making global tax compliance easier, Lightyear, automating accounts payable, purchasing, and expense management, and a bit of Phocas, bringing BI and FP&A together for smarter decisions. And by pulling it together, we hope to be able to show you how that can overcome the economic instability. And today we consider how they all come together with Sage at the center. It doesn't matter which version of Sage you're on, and it'll help you then address those challenges. And we're going to look at a fictional whiskey distillery called Highland. Now, firstly, I'd like to introduce Marvin. He's the principal consultant and head of business development at Sage to discuss the brewing storm.
Awesome. Good afternoon, and so glad to be able to join the conversation today. For those who I haven't met on the call, so my name is Marvin. I'm a principal consultant and I lead our strategic communities here at Sage. For those unfamiliar with Sage, so Sage supports small and mid-sized organizations with a suite from startup right through to the enterprise, with a suite of applications across finance, HR, payroll, and sustainability, including carbon accounting. We're the UK's largest listed FTSE technology company, and really focused on serving organizations across the entire UK spectrum. My particular focus is within our mid-size organization, which focuses on scaling mid-market organizations, and it's twofold really from my perspective. My primary focus is as a principal consultant supporting our private equity and venture capital backed customer cohort, working with operating partners to really support finance transformations within their portfolio and their funds and the companies within them, primarily with Sage Intacct, which is our cloud native mid-sized financial platform, which supports scaling companies from initial early stage right through to exit. And the secondary focus I have is really supporting and managing relationships with strategic communities such as CFO, investor, accountants, and scale-up communities. And so hopefully keen to share some lenses across a number of those conversations that I have on a day-to-day basis. My background as a functional consultant across the ERP and finance adjacent space. So hopefully I can help tie in some of the conversation around how that finance ops stack really supports organizations. I think the first thing we wanted to start with was a bit of a snapshot on kind of the economic output as per the spring budget. I think to summarize and looking at those that really affect the finance community as a whole, to summarize, it's really largely driven by cost pressures. And those cost pressures, unsurprisingly, come through at least what is the forecast on inflation. It's also driven a lot by the increase in national insurance contributions, which again squeezes the margins on a finance or on an organizational level. And then it was almost imminently amplified by the supply chain cost pressures, which were driven by the announcements that were driven as part of the tariffs that affect at least organizations that have export and supply chain effect within the US. One of the privileges of managing the communities I do is that I'm able to connect with a number of scale-up organizations within the UK. And the Scale-Up Institute is one that produces an annual report every year, which talks about some of the challenges that affect scale-ups, organizations that are kind of looking to move from early stage right through to listed corporate. And one of the big challenges it raises is the idea of the reliance and importance of export. So being able to access adjacent markets and being able to provide the right level of confidence in not only dominating within home market, but also taking advantage of opportunities overseas. So the fact that the budget is creating a little bit of uncertainty alongside the tariff, creating a little bit of uncertainty around what that export picture looks like, means that there's effectively an inherent impact on finance. And we think about those finance challenges themselves. Unsurprisingly, they manifest in a number of different ways, having to control tighter margins, having to operate essentially with fewer resources, and by extension having to do more with less, as it were. And that's really driven a need for not just automation, but actually productivity in every lens and every sense that can come through. And unsurprisingly, where there is uncertainty, quite often the demand for more information at a more deeper insight at a more regular pace, with the right level of governance to ensure that the information was correctly presented, becomes even more critical. And almost insight becomes one of the immediate antidotes to really insulate against the uncertainty that occurs. So unsurprisingly, the ultimate pressure on finance is not feeling confident with the right level of visibility. Now, Sage Intacct in particular supports this, and indeed thousands of organizations operating across over 120 countries by providing them the flexibility to support their growth. Now, one of the ways in which it does that, if organizations are growing either organically through international expansion or revenue model expansion, or even just managing the compliances that occur as they move overseas, Sage Intacct provides that level of visibility and the opportunity to embed a number of different levers to ensure the finance can keep up with sustained growth. Equally, if growth is inorganic through mergers and acquisitions, again, the ability to have the right level of financial visibility across group consolidations becomes particularly important. And then, as I mentioned earlier, in an environment where we're having to do more with less, quite often finding automation, and particularly AI-driven automation, becomes even more critical to ensure that as organizations can meet the demands of the very limited resources they have today, but also be able to improve and scale that productivity as they expand. And then finally, providing that level of insight and reporting that ensures that information is not only captured at a local level, but actually at a global picture, and with the ability to interrogate that information through a variety of different lenses to be able to support a variety of different scenarios that may occur over the course of the next 12 months, for example. And that becomes a critical component in responding to any changes or indeed opportunities that may come as a result of some of the macro changes that we're seeing on that basis. So hopefully that's given a bit of a view as to not only what the wider macro picture is, but actually the importance and significance of finance, and then finally how that effectively is kind of manifested and supported by a finance organization, or sorry, finance transformation platform like Sage Intacct. I believe.
Thank you very much, Marvin. Really appreciate that. And thank you everyone for joining us today. We thought that using having a use case of a company and then using that to illustrate how each of these components of the app stack can help sort of merchants as they're trying to face this economic uncertainty. And we've chosen something that's very close personally to my heart, which is a whiskey distiller. And this particular one has been, as we say, they've been very popular with the US markets, and they're kind of a mid-size importer. They've been using Sage Intacct for a long time, and this has been in the US. The fantastic fact that Sage Intacct can handle US sales tax and calculate the correct tax rates for anyone who's operating in the US. And so basically, yeah, they've been running for a long time, and all of a sudden, there's some changes have been happening. So the impact on the businesses, well, obviously, there's been a 25% levy on alcohol and trading in the US. And this is going to cause rising costs. Obviously, we've seen materials. This is reducing profit margins and obviously causing cash flow concerns. This is creating a burden on the finance team, but obviously more admin, but now the national insurance increases mean that's not possible. And now the team, for all of this uncertainty and different sort of changes with the national insurance, tax rates, etc., the management team really need to get their hands on the data about what's happening in their organization. Okay, it's really, really important right now. Okay, so within Sage has got what, as Marvin said, is a perfect for sort of a mid-market tool to help people from small to sort of enterprise size. And Avalara stands shoulder to shoulder with Phocas and Lightyear, providing solutions to Sage and their partners. And basically what we do is allow Sage to focus on what they do best, which is a financial system with excellent sort of capability and everything. And with Intacct having that excellent specialist kind of capability, then they have other organizations that will help them sort of plug in some gaps of expertise. Avalara managing tax, Lightyear looking after savings and costs and automating accounts payable. Obviously, then Sage is feeding the actual financial data, and that data is then interpreted by Phocas for excellent sort of reporting and consolidation. So really, you can see that there's a connected kind of flow here of Sage and Sage partners providing these kind of end-to-end solutions, helping with all this economic uncertainty right now. Well, first up, no surprise, Avalara, that's me. Hey, I'm Mark Darling, Senior Strategic Alliance Manager at Avalara. And what we want to do is just give you a little insight about who we are. We're a 21-year-old company. We've been working with Sage for 20 years. We are almost 5,000 tax nerds. Yes, that's all we deal with. Okay, indirect tax, global compliance, all over the globe. But let's talk a little bit more about the solutions and how they can help organizations like the distiller. Thank you. So we have from left to right, okay, helping people get registered if they're looking Though that's not the start, is it? It's actually, where do I want to trade? It might be that this whiskey distiller has got some uncertainty about where they want to trade. And now they are thinking about, should I go and have a look at somewhere else? Well, and with our tax research team, we can look at the rules and rates and regulations that are relevant to any industry. Once they've kind of had a look at the different sort of scenarios out there, then they can consider, well, I might want to get registered. Is that for VAT? Is that for goods and sales tax in Australia? Fiscal representation, sales and use tax in the USA and Canada, any invoicing in PEPAL. A little bit about that later. With our registrations team, basically they're helping prepare forms, making payment, and helping our customers through every step. Then we move into classification. Basically, what we're helping here is people with automating tariffs and harmonized system codes that are used by shippers and importers. Okay. Then we move on to tax determination. Okay. This tool, Avatax, as I mentioned, that's part of Sage Intacct and has been for a long time. This is where we calculate the correct tax rates that are required. But also we can calculate VAT and GST if goods are moving around more than one tax zone. But again, relevant to the whiskey distiller here is with our cross-border tool, they can help navigate kind of trade restrictions, but also if they're going to start selling online, we can help them get the correct price and duty in the shopping basket as well. Another thing that we call the tsunami of taxation in Avalara is e-invoicing, which is something that started off in South America, is in Italy now, and then this year is in Germany, Spain, Poland. This is a new thing where an invoice, an auditable copy of an invoice must be sent to a tax authority for auditing purposes. And that's something we supply over 60 countries for. And finally there, we help organizations with filing their returns, whether that's VAT, so we can automatically create VAT returns for almost 50 countries. We operate that as a customer use or as a managed service. And we'll also handle sales and use tax returns. We manage that for customers in the US as well. And with all the declarations required, with EC listings, Intrastat, and SAFT, the standard audit file for tax. So I'm going to take a breath because we try and make taxing more relaxing. But with that really awful pun, I'm going to hand over to my good friend Daniel at Phocas.
Lightyear. We'll go Lightyear first.
Well, we said it before. You can't be your friends, but you can't be pardoned. That's why I'm back. My good buddy
Okay.
Kenny at Lightyear. My apologies,
Okay.
my friend.
Thank you. Thanks, Mark, and a very, very interesting tax product. Obviously, very relevant in today's world with global tax going through the roof and tariffs and different things like that. So, first and foremost, I'm Kenny. I head up strategic partnerships for Lightyear. We have been partnered with Sage for 3-4 years now. We were one of the first AP solutions to partner in the UK and Ireland with Sage Intacct when it first launched. A great product. We also work with Sage 50, Sage 200, and a variety of the other products as well. And we've some fantastic mutual customers together. We're very, very interested, obviously, with the Sage Intacct piece particularly. It has a wealth of solutions that are available in it. And Lightyear has a very, very slick API integration. We extract line item data from supplier invoices, vendor bills. We extract that data at line item. We code that data automatically. We get that data very, very accurately and quickly. And then we feed that into Sage Intacct's purchase ledger, which you can then run really, really advanced reporting on, which is what Sage Intacct does very well. So from an overall perspective, when you're looking at the global tariffs, spring budgets, trade deals all over the world, it's very, very important that if you're importing and buying products and things like that to then sell on, that you've got a good hold of all of this. So Lightyear and Sage Intacct combined together, along with the other products on the call today, really, really enable that. So at a glance, who are we? Founded in 2017, offices in Belfast, in case you didn't recognize the Irish accent. And then we also got offices in Sydney, Australia. So we are a global company. We've about 6,500, 7,000 customers globally. And we're enabling a lot of sort of Sage Intact customers as well. So that's just a little bit about us. Don't really need to dive into that more. We do work in a variety of sectors, from food production, manufacturing, retail, hospitality, anything that's food product based. We're typically in there and assisting customers to automate the accounts payable process. So what do we actually offer? Just want to double check I've got these slides right. There we go. So what do we actually offer? So just to sort of jump into that. Invoices are automatically uploaded into Lightyear from suppliers, instant touch-free extraction and coding of all invoice data. So the manual effort, if you're keying data into systems at the minute for purchase invoices, credit notes, statements, anything like that, Lightyear just removes all of those problems. So rather than spend time keying data, spend time being more strategic, spend time focusing on your supply chain, because that's where people really need to focus at the minute. Focus on your supply chain, building relationships, and using Lightyear to get the strategic data. Avoid double payments, avoid manually checking prices, avoid the errors around data accuracy. So that's all sort of available within the Lightyear platform. Just to go back from a Lightyear perspective, there's obviously increases in national insurance, and the Lightyear product itself, whilst there's money being hemorrhaged elsewhere, Lightyear has the ability to bring data extraction to the masses, remove the manual processes, which means you can redistribute talent into the business and allow the talent to be more strategic, as opposed to actually having people doing endless monotonous jobs in this day and age. That doesn't need to happen, especially now with a lot of the tariffs and increases in prices and increases in supplier buyer relationships kind of being soured through different import taxes and things like that. It's really important that you use your staff and your talent very wisely in the business. So national insurance obviously has increased right across the board for all businesses, and it's quite a large cost that some businesses are absorbing. So how do you manage that? Well, you can use technology to do that. You can use technology to reduce these costs and enable your staff more. So again, that's just a little bit more around the national insurance piece and some of the things that we're trying to help with, and what we look at when we're working with our customers is how do we help reduce costs in your business, and where are you hemorrhaging costs at the minute. So as a business, you've got to take into account where those costs are. You've got to do your cost analysis benefits, and you've got to look at how can solutions like Lightyear remove data extraction. How can we remove manual processes and give time and money back to your business? So without further ado, I'll hand over to Dan at Phocas.
Thank you, Kenny. Appreciate that. So I'm just going to talk about where we fit in as well. But first of all, again, we'll give you a bit of a high-level overview as to who we are, where we came from.
Go ahead, Dan.
Thank you very much. So Phocas is a global organization supporting over 200 Sage customers already, with 2,800 customers globally and over 40,000 users. Now, one of the things that we're immensely proud of is that we're a B Corp certified corporation. We've been operating for 23 years, and we've got a 97% customer retention. And what we're looking to do is bring BI and FP&A together onto a single platform in Phocas to enable you to make better informed decisions. So how are we going to address Highland? So let's have a quick look at that.
Here you go.
Thank you. So before the spring budget, Highland Distilleries relied heavily on the financial analysis within their ERP system. They had the time and the capacity to manually handle the ERP data and reporting because it was a very easy and simple task. Now, it wasn't time critical for the finance team to notice those trends as the market was less volatile. But as you all know, and over the course of the last 6 months, can't predict anything these days, and we need to make sure that you've got the ability to plan these new scenarios in place separately from your ERP system so your underlying data isn't distorted. And of course, with many organizations, spreadsheet pain was spreading across the business. I can imagine now that most of you are thinking about the number of Excel spreadsheets you have going across your organization, being passed from person to person. And what we're looking to do is alleviate that pain by providing a solution which keeps it in a nice secure location and ensure you're all operating off the same version. And in the past, senior finance leaders were unable to take control of their reporting because they had the limited complexity of the ERP system. So whilst it contains a number of very good reports, if you want to do something outside or develop and customize your own, it's much easier to do it in Phocas. So with everything taking place, they were able to pivot quickly by pulling all the data through into the Phocas platform. And what we do is we take the transaction level data and present it in a number of tables and views and create dashboards which can then be shared across the organization, so that if somebody is more of a visual learner as opposed to more of a data analyst, it can be quickly and easily interpreted. And what we're looking to try and achieve is the ability to tell a story quickly and easily. And those senior finance leaders then were able to do that. And their team were no longer having to run those manual reports and spend hours consolidating data and cleaning it, and then just trying to interpret it in a way which is easily done. And using our FP&A solution, our financial planning and analytics, you can conduct a series of scenarios. So you can have one P&L, and if you then move into our budget and forecasting, you can set out the various different functions and structures and what potentially could happen. Equally, you can have multiple iterations of the P&L in Phocas and in various different formats. So should you have a format you wish to send for one scenario but keep the other one internal, you can do so without editing or impacting the data that's in that underlying Sage system. And of course, now finance staff and those outside the finance department can make those clear decisions. So if it's the business intelligence section, they can go into there and they can see, for example, which supplier is the best performing, where the wastage is particularly high. They can have a look at sales performance of their sales team, or see what customers are currently buying and which ones aren't, to be able to spot those that are potentially at risk earlier on. And then within our financial side, as I said, it's about planning. So with the national insurance, you can have a headcount driver in our budget and forecasting tool, which shows what the impact would be of recruiting another member of staff within the finance operation, what the costs associated would be, and when you think as a business you could potentially take that on. And then just talking about the solutions. So Phocas offers 4 different solutions here, and it's all on the Phocas platform. You can take as many or as little as you want at any one moment. So if it's product on shelves that you've got in a warehouse somewhere, the analytics solution is a great fit. We find that if it's manufacturing, distribution, wholesale, or retail, our analytics solution is perfect to be able to help you drill down into that underlying data, spot opportunities, identify risks, and make informed decisions and present it across the rest of the business. Now, within Sage, we're finding our financial solutions are being a bit more prominent, and that's because they're not constrained necessarily by industry. So it doesn't matter whether you're running your own financial organization, perhaps you're a broker, or you're going to perhaps in the retail space. The financial statements allow you to connect in, customize all of your financial statements, be it the cash flow, balance sheet, P&L, and then share them across the organization in a way which doesn't corrupt anything, and also then doesn't show something to someone that you don't want to see it. So it's all about that security overview. And it's the same with our budget and forecasting. So how many times have you had a version of your budgets, which is version 2, 3, 44, and you don't really know which version you're on now? And we've eliminated that pain by taking all of the risks associated with Excel, putting it into Phocas, wrapping it into our security model, and allowing you to share just a line item out to other individuals across the organization so they can contribute, they can take ownership and see the impact as part of that wider piece. And rebates is something we come across every now and then. Rebates is it can necessarily be quite complex depending if they're coming in or going out and the various different iterations and models associated. We have a very simple tool to allow you to be able to manage those and identify areas where you could potentially save money by buying more, or where your customers could do the same. So within Phocas, there's a range of solutions there to be able to help address the problems that you've currently got. Thank you, Kenny.
Perfect. So I just want to double check that Marvin can potentially hear us. He was just facing some challenges. Marvin, can you hear us at the moment? He can't. Okay. Bear with us. We're just communicating here via chat just to bring Marvin in to talk a little bit more about this. He can speak on the call. Cool. Give me a few minutes, guys. We're just trying to be a little bit resourceful here to give Marvin his time to speak to some of these key takeaways. No? Okay, I'll jump in. So yeah, I guess, listen, the key takeaways from a Sage app tech stack, and I guess this is probably one of the biggest things you got to remember is a finance or accounting product on its own in this day and age does not suffice. It can do a lot of wonderful things for businesses, but when you start to look at your business and your operations as a business, you may be dealing with multiple entities, you may be dealing with products all over the world, you may be dealing with multiple suppliers. It does take an app stack to manage that. So again, from an Avalara perspective, Mark, I'll maybe bring you in to speak to your piece here in your line. Avalara helps businesses in 2025 to manage tax and tariffs with confidence, access new markets, and maintain profitability. Would you add anything to that as a key takeaway?
I just think I want to add that the point is, if any organisation is thinking that they've got to look east or west, for somewhere new to trade, that's the area that we can help them with.
Brilliant. Perfect. Thank you. From a Lightyear perspective, as you can see here, we handle time-consuming accounts payable processes, reducing the reliance on manpower and saving in business costs. Probably the key takeaway to point out here is in the UK and Ireland specifically, and those businesses who may have entities globally, we are still seeing a trend of people doing things manually. We are still seeing a trend of people living in spreadsheets. We're still seeing a trend of hearing, oh, we've always done it that way. Okay. So what I would suggest is, you've got 4 powerful solutions available at your fingertips right now. Maybe go off from a Avalara perspective, have a look at how you managing your tax at the minute. Is it manual? Are you constantly having to readjust and figure things out yourself? Avalara might be the company to speak to. Lightyear, if you're constantly typing in data, if you're constantly getting errors or paying suppliers twice, well, don't hemorrhage money anymore. Maybe you can look at Lightyear. From a Phocas perspective, Dan, I'll let you speak to your piece.
Yeah, thank you, Kenny. So for Phocas, it's all about making you feel good about your data. So all of this data, which is contained within the ERP or all the other systems as well, we just want to bring it together and give you a real clear view as to what your organization is facing and help you identify opportunities for growth, mitigate risk, and then also budget and forecast more frequently. People aren't forecasting enough these days, and especially with the number of changes that are taking place, I can't emphasize how simple and easy we can make it for you. So it's bringing all this together with Phocas, giving that holistic view across the platform. Thank you.
Yep, perfect. Marvin, if you can hear us, feel free to speak to the Sage piece. I don't want to speak for you.
Yeah, awesome. And from a Sage perspective, it's really kind of down to providing the right level of insight that supports organizations as they navigate through any uncertainty. And that antidote that I mentioned earlier is the ability to be able to see information at a detailed level, whether that's multidimensional, if you're transacting across multiple entities or in multiple currencies, or even presenting information in different ways for different reporting standards to meet the relevant local compliances. Having access to that level of detail that is both detailed, access to data that's both detailed, but provides a holistic view of business, just provides the right level of confidence to ensure that finance teams are confident in their decision making, and also having that supported by an always learning AI driven approach means that information is fundamentally scalable, so that as the uncertainty changes, I guess the only certainty that we'll have moving forward is there's going to be uncertain areas. Being able to kind of respond to that is an element that Sage and through our applications and indeed our trusted ecosystem partners of solutions that really add value to the wider finance piece can support along the way.
Fantastic. Thanks, Marvin, for filling in there on the Sage. And I think, one of the things to sort of maybe the key actionable takeaway that I would suggest to everybody is we've already been through change, right? We had that dreaded word COVID. We've already been through change. We know what change looks like. We've experienced it. Our businesses have adopted. Most of the businesses have a cloud product of some sort or a highly advanced tech product of some sort in their business now. And I think it's now with the economic changes that are now coming in hot and fast, the geopolitical changes that are coming in hot and fast, it is a time now to maybe take a step back. Don't wait for the next wave of change, right? We've had the biggest wave of change we've ever had in hundreds of years with COVID. We're now going through another huge change that we've ever had in the last 100 years economically. Don't wait, don't wait longer for the next change. Do it now. have a look at your tech stack. Is it on premise? Is it manual? Is it still in Excel? Now is probably the time to assess that change and start, even if it's just one process, replace that with something that's automated, and then take yourself on a phased journey. So you could probably go today, look at your tech stack. Is it Sage? Is it XYZ? Go and have a look at that and try to understand, where's my manual processes? Where am I hemorrhaging money in my current processes? And how can I replace that with an advanced tech stack that can give me that time and money back? That would probably be my sort of key takeaway in terms of the changes that are happening at the moment. Perfect. Again, any commentary on this, guys? Anybody want to wrap up? I've did enough talking. They're all surprised. They're surprised they didn't talk.
That's fine, Kenny. I think you wrapped it up really nicely there.
Perfect.
I think we're heading for more change. I think the tariffs and counter tariffs, the rise of AI, which affects all of us, and there are many things out there that are going to cause, and some of those things, those things are going to affect employment, and obviously that affects global complexity. So it isn't just an ERP. You're absolutely right, and we are all. The thing I'm very proud to say is that the sort of Lightyear, Phocas, and Avalara are all proud partners of Sage, but we're all proud partners of each other as well. So I think the thing is that although we're all, have our own interests at heart, we play together nicely as well. Yeah, thanks, Kenny.
Brilliant. Dan, any commentary on that?
I love the fact that we play nicely together, which we do. No, thank you very much. It was a great session, and as I said, looking forward to speaking to everyone afterwards. So get in contact.
Perfect. Thank you. So we will open the floor to a couple of questions if anybody has any. I know Eve was busy answering some questions in the background there. So we've got a number of people on. Feel free. We've got Marvin here from Sage if you have any Sage questions, and the ecosystem partners here in Avalara, Phocas, and Lightyear. Any questions at all? We'll keep the floor open for a couple of minutes. And if not, we'll follow up with some information.
Is it fair to say, Kenny, that this recording will be made available to everyone who registered for the call?
Correct, yes. So anybody who's not watching, please do feel free to reach out as well. Yeah, that's right, Mark. Okay, chaps, we shall wrap it up there. Thank you very, very much, everybody, for your time today. Guests, panelists, everybody who joined and helped out with this. Thank you very much for informing the session today. It's been super, super great to have everybody on.
Thanks, Kenny, and thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.